Harley Quinn Season 4, Episode 5 was pretty solid in my opinion. I definitely enjoyed it more than the last episode. I thought that the Harley side of that episode was just straight up not very good in my opinion. This time I enjoyed both the Ivy storyline and the Harley storyline. I enjoy seeing Ivy sort of becoming very self-obsessed, unlike we've really ever seen her before, being pressured by the weird like like marketing guys, very much like the marketing guys from The Boys. They reminded me of those characters. I find that to be pretty interesting. I did end up feeling kind of bad for her proteges when she just abandoned. I'm wondering if they're gonna come back and be like villains in the series, or I guess antagonists, because who even is a villain or a hero in the show? And then on the Harley side of things, I found them exploring sort of Harley's loneliness to be pretty interesting. The fact that aside from Ivy, she doesn't really have anybody in her life, and the fact that the Bat family definitely are not her family. Like they are not there for her when she needs them, and I found that to be pretty interesting. That the supposed heroes, they're kind of angling them as being kind of neglectful. Although to be fair, I don't know that they're like they mentioned it in the episode. Their relationship is not at the point where they even should bear that responsibility, probably. But still, I found that pretty interesting. That being said, I didn't find this episode to be particularly funny. Like the last episode. I think where this episode exceeds is that I'm getting more into the narrative storytelling, but I just wasn't like laughing out loud watching this. I'm not saying it's like unfunny necessarily. Like I enjoyed the jokes as they were coming, but they're not getting me as much as this show usually does. And I do feel like that's where the show tends to excel. It excels when it's both hilarious and narratively compelling at the same time. So I don't know. I hope the season can get better as it gets along. But I also find it weird that at the end of the last episode they teased that the Joker was coming back as a villain, and I was kind of hoping that they would tease that at some point during this episode, and they just completely abandoned it. I'm actually forgetting what happened to Batman. Like, why isn't Batman around? Maybe they explained it in the first episode, but I just kind of don't remember. So his absence is kind of weird. It feels like they're kind of going in a lot of different directions, with like Joker potentially coming back, being a villain, and on Ivy's side with her proteges potentially coming back and being villains. I hope that all sort of comes together in an interesting way. Well, I wasn't entirely sure what was happening with Nightwing, because by the end of the episode, he kind of just like fell out of a tree. I'm trying to remember, did they say or did they show how that happened? Or is that just like a mystery that's being set up for the next episode that they didn't tease in this? That's kind of interesting. And they also brought back Jim Gordon. I thought he was pretty funny. I I like that he was like well adjusted or whatever, but his wife just wasn't making him happy, which I mean it's makes sense for that character. So hopefully they bring him back. I kind of hope they do something interesting with him and that he isn't just a loser, because that's kind of what it's felt like he's been for the past 3 seasons. I feel like the fact that they're bringing him back, I hope that they're going to do something a bit more interesting with him. But yeah, overall, not a bad episode by any means. I liked it more than the last week's episode, but I kind of want the show to pick up, get a bit funnier. Like I'm glad that they're doing more character work now, but I want them to continue improving the humor as well. Also, they introduced Supergirl in this. Was Supergirl a doctor in the comics? Like, is that a thing? Or did she just become a doctor in this show? Let me know what you thought of the episodes in general in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.